3 in the morning. Margaret's leg seizes. Not a cramp. A vice. A hot iron rod twisting through muscle and bone. Pulling her calf into a knot so tight her toes curl backward. She grabs the bedsheet. Gasps. Her husband sleeps through it. Again. She has been here before. Every third night for 6 months. The same leg. The same hour. The same silence after. When the pain finally releases and she lies there staring at the ceiling, heart hammering, wondering if 72 is supposed to feel like this. Her doctor calls it age. Her pharmacist sells her magnesium oxide pills in an orange bottle. 90 capsules. $34. She takes them every morning with her coffee. They do nothing. What Margaret does not know, what nobody has told her, is that the answer to every one of those midnight attacks is growing right now in the crack between her driveway and her garden bed. She has walked past it every single morning for 3 summers. She pulled it out by the fistful last June and threw it in the trash. She paid $34 for a pill that passes through her body like gravel. The plant that would have stopped the cramp was free. Hi viewers. Drop your state in the comments right now. Just your state. 2 seconds. Because what this plant needs to grow, and whether it is already growing near you right now, depends entirely on where you live. We are a small, growing circle who refuse to be victims of an industrial food system that values profit over our vitality. Click that subscribe button to join our community now. If you're choosing to watch this wisdom but refuse to join our community by subscribing, I'd honestly like to know why in the comments. Are you truly more comfortable trusting a pharmacy? That plant has a name. Governments have tried to erase it. Agrochemical companies have spent decades teaching people to hate it. And yet it keeps coming back. Through pavement. Through drought. Through every herbicide they throw at it. There is a reason it will not die. There is also a reason the people who eat it regularly report fewer cramps, clearer thinking, and deeper sleep than people spending hundreds of dollars a year on supplements that science quietly admits the human body can barely absorb. But before this gets to the plant, it has to show the money. Because the number is obscene. 60 years. That is how long industrial farming has been pulling minerals out of American soil and putting nothing back. A head of spinach grown in 1950 contained nearly twice the magnesium of the same head grown today. Same plant. Same name on the grocery shelf. Half the nutrition. Nobody changed the label. Americans are eating ghosts. Nutritional ghosts. Food that looks like food is priced like food, feels like food going down, and arrives in the body almost completely hollow. The human body needs magnesium for over 300 biological functions. Muscle release, nerve signaling, heart rhythm, sleep. The moment magnesium drops below threshold, the body starts borrowing from its own tissue. It robs the muscles first. Then the nerves start misfiring. Then the heart begins doing things it should not do at 2 in the morning. So Americans buy pills. $21 billion worth of supplements every year. 21 billion. That is more than the GDP of some countries, spent chasing a mineral that the soil used to provide for free. And the pills do not work. Not the way the label promises. Not the way the body needs. Here is where it turns. Here is the part the supplement industry has no answer for. There is a plant that contains more bioavailable magnesium than almost any pill on the market. The USDA knows it. The FDA knows it. And for reasons that will make complete sense in about 4 minutes, neither one of them is putting it on a label. Picture a plant so low to the ground it practically hugs the earth. Fleshy, thick-stemmed. Red at the base like something that has been alive a long time and intends to keep going. It spreads across bare soil the way water finds cracks. Not aggressively, quietly. Confidently, like it knows exactly what it is doing and has known for 10,000 years. The ancient Egyptians ate it. Roman soldiers carried it on long marches. Native American tribes dried it for winter. Every major civilization that touched this plant figured out, without a laboratory, without a clinical trial, that something in it made people feel better. Its name is Purslane, Portulaca oleracea, common, overlooked, hiding in plain sight in gardens, driveways, and sidewalk cracks across every state in the country. Gardeners call it a weed. They spray it. They pull it. They bag it and send it to the landfill without knowing they are throwing away something that delivers more omega-3 fatty acid per gram than almost any land plant on Earth. Without knowing that its magnesium content, at roughly 68 milligrams per 100 grams of fresh weight, outperforms the leading supplement in one critical way. The body can actually use it. This is not a folk remedy dressed up in science language. Iowa State University researchers have documented it. Nutritional biochemists have measured its food matrix. The omega-3 and magnesium in Purslane do not arrive alone. They arrive together, in a biological structure the human gut already knows how to process. It looks like a weed growing in the wrong place. But beneath those thick, glossy leaves is a chemical profile that has no business existing in something most Americans are currently kneeling on while pulling dandelions. And here is where the story stops making sense. If this plant is this effective, why did the government pass a law specifically designed to remove it? Read the back of any magnesium supplement bottle. Look past the serving size. Look past the daily value percentage. Find the form. Magnesium oxide. It is in almost every budget supplement on the market. It is cheap to manufacture, stable on a shelf, and absorbs into the human body at a rate that researchers at the University of Maryland have measured as low as 4%. 4%. That means 96% of every pill swallowed exits the body without doing a single thing. It passes through the digestive system like a stranger passing through a town, touching nothing, changing nothing, leaving no trace. The supplement companies know this. It is not hidden. It is published in pharmacology journals. It is discussed at nutrition conferences. And yet the orange bottles keep appearing on pharmacy shelves because magnesium oxide is inexpensive, and most consumers never read past the milligram number on the front. Purslane does not work this way. When magnesium arrives inside a food matrix, inside actual cellular structure, bound to fiber, accompanied by alpha-linolenic acid and other compounds the gut recognizes, the absorption story changes entirely. The gut does not treat it like a foreign object. Treats it like food. Because it is food. The body has been processing food-based minerals for 200,000 years. It knows what to do. What it does not know what to do with is a compressed tablet of magnesium oxide that arrived in a sealed bottle from a factory in New Jersey. Margaret's $34 bottle was never going to stop those midnight cramps. Not because she bought the wrong brand. Because the entire delivery system was wrong from the start. But if this plant solves the problem and the science is this clear, then someone made a deliberate decision to make it disappear. And the paperwork still exists. The United States government draws up a list. It is called the Federal Noxious Weed Act, and it gives federal and state agencies the authority to classify plants as threats, fund their removal, and coordinate with agricultural departments to eliminate them from American soil. The list is long. Purslane appears on several state versions of it. Read the official reasoning. It says the plant competes with crops. It says it spreads aggressively. It says it is a problem for managed agriculture. What the reasoning does not say is that Purslane requires zero fertilizer, zero irrigation beyond rainfall, zero pesticide, and zero input from any company that sells fertilizer, irrigation systems, or pesticides. It does not say that a plant this nutritionally dense, growing freely in soil that commercial agriculture has stripped of value, represents a very specific kind of economic problem. A lawn that grows nothing but grass needs constant feeding. It needs weed killer. It needs professional maintenance. It generates a recurring revenue cycle that requires the homeowner to keep spending every season without end. A garden corner with Purslane feeds the family for free. The war on weeds is not about aesthetics. It is not about tidiness. It is about what gets funded when people stop buying what the system is selling. When a plant can grow through drought, spread through poor soil, and deliver nutrition that outperforms a $34 supplement, it does not fit inside a consumption economy. It exits the cycle. And systems built on cycles do not tolerate exits quietly. So the plant was reclassified. The language around it shifted. Generations of American homeowners were taught, through gardening magazines and HOA guidelines and weekend television, that anything growing without permission was an enemy. They pulled it out by the millions. They sprayed it with chemicals. They paid to remove the very thing that could have cut their supplement bill to zero. And the plant survived anyway, every single time, because Purslane carries something inside it that no government legislation has ever been able to legislate away. A clock, a biological survival clock. And what that clock does is the reason this plant cannot be stopped. A researcher walks into a lab at Iowa State University with a handful of weeds pulled from a cracked sidewalk. What the analysis finds stops the team cold. Purslane contains more alpha-linolenic acid, the plant-based omega-3 fatty acid per gram, than almost any land-grown food measured in that lab. Not close to flaxseed. Not comparable to walnuts. Competitive with both in a plant that grows wild, costs nothing, and that most Americans have spent years actively destroying. Alpha-linolenic acid is not a wellness trend. It is structural. The brain is nearly 60% fat, and a significant portion of that fat requires omega-3 to stay functional. When those levels drop, the brain does not announce it. It does not send a warning. It just starts running slower. Thoughts arrive late. Words disappear mid-sentence. Sleep becomes shallow. The medical system calls it age, calls it stress, writes a referral. Nobody checks the soil. Nobody asks when the diet stopped including wild greens. Nobody connects the brain fog rolling in at 65 to the 60-year depletion of the food supply that was supposed to prevent it. Purslane delivers omega-3 and magnesium together, inside the same cellular matrix, the way the human body was designed to receive them, through food, not capsules. That combination does not just support the heart. It crosses the blood-brain barrier. It feeds the tissue that generates memory, regulates mood, and controls the rhythm of sleep. Margaret's doctor told her the fog was normal, that it came with the years, that there was nothing to prescribe for it. He was wrong. He just did not know where to look. But wait, before anyone runs outside to harvest this plant, there is a chapter of American history that explains why their grandmothers already knew all of this, and why that knowledge was deliberately taken away. Pull open any American cookbook printed before 1950. Look past the casseroles, past the canned goods sections. Find the garden chapter. It is there. The wild corner. The patch of ground grandmothers kept deliberately untamed at the edge of every kitchen garden. Not out of laziness. Out of knowledge. Out of a quiet, unspoken understanding passed down through generations that some of the most useful things growing in the yard were the ones that showed up without being invited. Purslane was in that corner. So was lamb's quarters. So was wood sorrel. The women who tended those gardens did not call them weeds. They called them dinner. They called them medicine. They called them insurance against the kind of hunger that descended without warning in the hard months. Then the supermarkets arrived. Then the marketing arrived behind them. Within a single generation, the language around wild food shifted completely. Glossy advertisements taught American families that real food came in packaging, that nutrition had a brand name, that anything growing without a price tag was suspect, dirty, something to be removed before the neighbors noticed. The wild corner disappeared. HOA guidelines formalized its removal. Lawn care companies built entire business models around eliminating it. And the women who had maintained that corner, who had known without a nutrition label exactly what those plants delivered, aged out of the conversation before anyone thought to write it down. That knowledge did not go extinct. It went underground. And here is what the marketing era never counted on. Purslane does not need to be planted. It does not need a gardener who remembers. It seeds itself, resets itself, returns to every yard in America on its own schedule, completely indifferent to whatever the HOA rulebook says. The only question is whether anyone knows what to do when it arrives. Because the method is nothing like gardening. And trying to do it the normal way will kill it every time. Every gardening instinct a person carries will work against them here. Do not till. Do not fertilize. Do not plant seeds in neat rows and water on a schedule. Every one of those actions will produce nothing, because Purslane does not operate on gardening logic. It operates on survival logic. And survival logic is older, smarter, and considerably less cooperative. Here is what actually works. Find a patch of bare, disturbed soil. A spot where grass was recently pulled. A strip along the driveway edge. A cleared bed where last season's plants were removed. Disturbed soil is the trigger. It is the signal Purslane has been waiting for. Where the ground has been turned and left open, Purslane reads that as an invitation. One single Purslane plant produces over 240,000 seeds per growing season. 240,000. Each one capable of lying dormant in the soil for decades, waiting for the right conditions. This is the survival clock that no legislation touched. The seeds already exist in most American yards right now, banked in the soil, waiting for bare ground. The plant thrives in USDA zones 3 through 10. That covers the overwhelming majority of the continental United States, from the upper Midwest to the Gulf Coast to the Pacific Northwest. It grows in heat. It grows in drought. It grows in soil that would kill a vegetable garden inside a week. Allow one corner. Clear it. Leave it alone. The plant will arrive. Once it appears, harvest from the top. Cut stems. Leave the root. It regenerates within days. A single established patch, managed this way, produces edible greens from late spring through the first frost. One plant, one corner, one season to establish, and then it feeds a household every year without asking for anything in return. But there is one mistake that changes everything. One mistake that does not just waste the harvest. It sends someone to the emergency room. The stem snaps clean. Clear liquid. No smell. Thick, fleshy leaves that hold their shape between two fingers. That is Purslane. Now picture the other plant. Same height, same general shape, same red-tinged stem growing in the same disturbed soil in the same backyard in the same zip code. A person reaches down, pulls a handful, and brings it inside. That plant is hairy spurge, Euphorbia hirta. And the liquid that comes out of that stem when it snaps is not clear. It is milky white. Latex. A caustic compound that irritates skin on contact, causes severe digestive distress when ingested, and has sent people to poison control centers across the country after being mistaken for an edible plant. This is the mistake that erases every benefit discussed in the last 8 chapters. Not a small mistake. Not a recoverable one without medical attention. The two plants grow side by side. They favor the same soil conditions. They emerge at the same time of year. And to a person who has never looked closely, they appear nearly identical at first glance. The identification takes 3 seconds. Snap a stem. Look at the liquid. Clear sap. Purslane. Safe. Edible. The plant that delivers 68 milligrams of magnesium per 100 grams and omega-3 levels that stopped a research team cold. Milky white latex. Spurge. Do not harvest. Do not taste. Wash hands and move on. That single test, 3 seconds, 1 snap, is the difference between a free nutritional resource and a medical emergency. No app needed. No field guide required. No botany degree. Just the sap test every single time without exception before anything goes near a mouth. Margaret never knew this. Her grandmother likely did. Somewhere between the wild corner of the kitchen garden and the plastic-wrapped salad kits at the grocery store checkout, this information stopped being passed down. It almost ended here, but it does not end here. Because knowing how to find the plant and how to identify it safely is only the beginning. The last piece is how to actually use it, and the system is 3 steps, simple ones, starting tonight, before bed. Go outside with a pair of kitchen scissors. Find the patch. Snap 1 stem. Check the sap. Clear liquid only. Cut a small handful from the top, leaving the roots in the ground. Bring it inside. Rinse it. Eat it raw in a salad, toss it into scrambled eggs, or lay it across a piece of toast with olive oil and a pinch of salt. That is step 1. Takes 4 minutes. Step 2 happens over the next 2 weeks. Harvest from the same patch every 3 to 4 days. Never pull the root. Never strip the whole plant. Cut from the top and let it regenerate. The plant builds a stronger root system each time it regrows. By the 3rd harvest, it is producing faster than a single household can consume. Step 3 is the corner commitment. Identify 1 permanent spot in the yard, for square feet or smaller, and protect it. Clear grass from it once. Let Purslane establish. Mark it so no one accidentally pulls it. That corner becomes the household's permanent magnesium supply. No replanting. No seasonal purchase. No subscription. Margaret does not need a new doctor. She does not need a better supplement. She needs 4 square feet of bare ground and the knowledge that something already growing near her home has been working for 10,000 years. The greatest act of self-reliance in modern life is not dramatic. It is not expensive. It is a pair of scissors, a clear stem, and a corner of ground that the system spent 60 years teaching people to poison. The grandmothers knew. The soil remembers. And now, so does everyone watching this. If the story changed the way anyone sees their yard, share it with 1 person who is still buying the orange bottle. Subscribe and turn on notifications because the next story on this channel covers another plant the system buried, and it is one most people walked past just this morning. Leave a comment below. Tell what zone you are in. Tell whether Purslane is already growing there. Every comment builds this community, and every person in this community is 1 less household buying what they could be growing. The garden is not a hobby. It is a declaration.